Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Dashy's been done dirty big time here by the OpTic social media team in a competition versus Scrappy up against Crimsix that they put together for this OpTic Legacy match coming down tomorrow. Also some drama emerging from a few years ago here with relation to Scump and his salary demands during the World War II season when Infinite Esports came into play at OpTic, saying he probably should have been making more money at the time. Very much into your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Here's Scump on some extra fight as well. The game just looks so good when you watch Scump play it, to be honest. I know that X was talking about it yesterday about, you know, the fact that, oh yeah, it's getting delayed, but still, it's going to be around for a long time. And this is the thing, it's not like they're going to do an XDefiant 2, 3, 4 every single year. It's going to be around for a very long time. This XDefiant game, they'll continue to update it as kind of like the one game that Ubisoft produce on this front going forwards. So whether it releases, when it's intended to or not, it still should be a relevant feature if it's actually any good for quite some time to come. And it does seem the guys that have played it, Scump, Shotzzy, you know, Octane and others, Parasites, have had a relatively decent time on it. So look, I don't think it's going to take over from COD or anything, but I think just some competition for the Call of Duty franchise is good, and so hopefully XDefiant can execute something relatively respectably. And it does look really fun to play when you watch Scump play at the very least, but that's the case of many different things. Before we discuss Scump, actually, I do want to say I thought this is pretty interesting from Priestahh. Just because I believe in the CDL era, he has the most LAN wins of any player. He's been on FaZe in the first year, won a LAN before everything went online. Then, sure, he didn't do that well on Minnesota Rocket, but they did win a LAN at the end of the Cold War season. And then, of course, he's joined as Subliner since then and has won 3 events the most recent year. So 9 event wins in his career, 15 finals he's made. His average placing at champs is like seconds, which is really impressive. Even on Minnesota Rocket in Cold War, they were like top 4, whatever it was. So, you know, very impressive, really. And then wins it this year. It was on FaZe the first year. They came seconds. Has now officially won his World Championship. But still, despite these accolades, gets dropped anyway, right? And this is the thing. Priestahh may well have been an underrated force for many years in the Call of Duty landscape. Even pre-CDL, he was on, I think it was Cloud9 and Infinite Warfare champs. They did all right that year. Of course, he was on the 100 Thieves team that, you know, they made second at the Grand Finals in 2019, right? In that World Championship that season. And Priestahh was a massive part as to why. So, you know, Priestahh has had lots of success, but maybe he still gets underrated by teams they feel like they can do better. But his record speaks for itself. I'm pretty sure he's made a finals, as has Slasher, his new teammate at Boston, for many years in a row. So that might replicate itself here. We shall see, because, you know, Priestahh, I think, has made it quite clear that he is very much looking forward to playing New York Subliners again next season to try and take them down to prove that they made a mistake by making this change. And where does he fit on, like, the greatest of all time list? You know, maybe he's in the mid-teens at this point, given, I mean, look, when you've won a world championship, you've got to be in that consideration. So, intrigued to your thoughts on that in the comments. But let's talk about this drama then on the Scump contract negotiations. This went around on the OpTic podcast that came out a couple of days ago. And Hex actually said the date was when he found the text actually from Infinite Esports saying it was March the 4th, 2018. This is probably when Hex must have known this ain't going to end well with this Infinite Esports thing. We know how it ended, right? The CDL came around, Hex parted ways with OpTic, right? Went to NRG, Scump came along, Dashy maybe got blindsided a bit by this. He actually stayed on OpTic, but it was fake OpTic as Immortals came in and bought the thing. And then eventually Hex got OpTic back. They partnered with NRG to make it happen with OpTic Chicago. Then he partnered with HyDra and Envoy. And, well, that's pretty much where we are today. But that period was a bit of a disaster, and to be honest, I don't really blame Hex for the way this works, because at the time a lot of organisation owners were like, well, there's big money coming in now. If I don't sell part of OpTic to some sort of group, I'm going to miss out on what we could do as an organisation. The issue is, you know, Infinite Esports weren't the best of the bunch in terms of ownership groups coming in, and they were doing a lot of stuff. I'm pretty sure they got rid of the Gears team, didn't they? Maybe they even got rid of the Halo team because of money stuff. I remember Hex told this story of when he went into the office and they had so many employees working there, and they were also working Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and he was like, wait, this is not how esports operates, right? I mean, if there is a day off in esports, it's probably Monday, the day after the event finishes, right? So when people are traveling, like, that's how it works. So there were many issues with this at the time, and Hex was realizing it around about 2018. And during this time, the ownership group that had now had effectively more control than Hex in these decisions was trying to drop the OpTic team, the COD team, sorry, which is you know, that is the lifeblood of OpTic, obviously, and Hex was going to make sure absolutely that was not happening. But Scump was discussing his contract negotiations at the time and what he was asking for. Turns out he was asking for roughly 16k a month. And obviously that's pretty respectable money for sure, especially considering the inflation over the last 5 years. But it wasn't the most by quite some margin that anyone else was making in the league. We believe the numbers were more like 20k what Zoom was making. So this is what they had to say.
What?
You were asking for some crazy.
No, I don't think
my own shit.
I don't think I was.
No, it's like 16. I think we were asking for 16.
16
grand a month.
A month?
Yeah.
After MW 2019?
Yeah. No, it was just the upgrade. It was well deserved. Because it wasn't
was
about
asking-
it wasn't about him winning championships. It was the viewership that was coming in and the entertainment value that we offered the green wall.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Wait, I was only asking for 16.
from what I remember, yeah.
That's not that bad.
It's not
compared
only
to now.
back then when everybody was getting paid $3,500 a month, that was a lot.
16 back then would have been insane.
I'm almost certain that it was 16.
From what I've heard from what people get paid.
Whatever.
And this actually is a comment that Crone came out with when his account used to be basically Codburner Intel or whatever it was, when the Codburner, if you guys were around in the Codburner days, there was some guy, we pretty sure we figured out who it was. He was on the Reddit and was just leaking all sorts of stuff about teams, about players, behind the scenes stuff. It was a wild time for sure. And these were, according to him, and we believe these numbers are pretty much true, that these are the top 5 highest paid players. Now, Zoom was getting paid 20k. This is because OpTic wanted him when the Dynasty broke up, and then FaZe said, we want to keep you, Zoom, we'll pay you 20k a month. And Zoom was like, sound, I'll take that, no problem. And then all the other players were like, hang on a second here, like, can we not get more money type thing? So then it seemed like Crim and Scump were on something like 13 to 15k, which is pretty similar to that number we just saw there for what Scump was asking. Now, could he have been asking way more? If Zoom was on 20k, this is when the salaries started to go kind of crazy, like pre-2017. I mean, to be honest, a couple of years before 2017, like 2015, 2014, there wasn't really any salaries at all. Then they really started to become a thing in kind of 2016, 2017-ish. And then 2018, things started to go kind of crazy. And even at this time, it wasn't, you know, this isn't exactly crazy money compared to what we've seen over the last couple of years with players on Seattle Surge making 350k a season in the first year of the CDL. But if Zoom was on 20k, I mean, Scump, his value, his brand and everything like that, like, he probably could have tried to get more, but then at the same time, as Hex said, Infinite Esports weren't going to be happy with that, and they were going to say, no, we're going to shut down the COD team if you ask for too much money. So, pretty outrageous. And this is also the thing, like, even how OpTic operate today, that OpTic have, like, Scump, I'm sure, is on good money today as a content creator salary, all of his partnership deals, what he makes of his stream. I'm sure he's doing okay, right? He's got the nice house, he's got the pool and all that stuff, and he absolutely deserves it. But it's not like OpTic, I don't think, have ever paid crazy salaries compared to other teams, partly because the plan with OpTic was back in the day, and like Hex and Nachod and Scump, they worked on this. It was like, all right, you can be part of OpTic, and we'll pay you what we can from our partnership deals, but mainly this is a marketing tool for you to grow your content brand. And I think this has been a thing even today. Now, maybe not quite yet, and we'll discuss with Drazah in a second, but the belief was over the last couple of years that maybe it was FaZe and it was other teams that are paying a bit more than OpTic were, just because, you know, when you join OpTic, there's other benefits. Now, then Drazah said most recently that actually his OpTic offer was more in terms of salary than his FaZe offer was, but he's still gone for FaZe because of the prize money that he thinks he's going to be earning this type of stuff. But, you know, so I think the FaZe salaries have generally come down, and the OpTic ones, I don't really know what the OpTic salaries look like. I'm sure they're very generous, but they can actually support that because they have more sponsors, partners, stuff like this than FaZe do, and therefore FaZe and even teams like 100 Thieves have had to restrict those salaries over the last few years to make it a little bit more sustainable. And this is how you can see the growth really from, you know, 2017, 2018, 2019. Things went big time, right, in those kind of 3-4 year stints. And then, of course, X conveniently leaving out the 2020 season where he people would say completely fleeced Los Angeles Gunners, but, you know, fair play, I can't blame him. The VC money was really flowing in those days. Now, before we get onto this OpTic Legacy stuff and the Crim versus Dashy graphic, did want to say there's some hitch. He's going to Arizona for a month, and that does mean the Hex Quarters for him is coming to an end. We know the Hex Quarters is going to go now. Pretty much all the OpTic stuff happens out of the headquarters, right? Which is, you know, I have to make sure I concentrate when I say this because there's the OpTic HQ, former NV HQ, whatever, in the heart of downtown Dallas. You guys know how it goes. and the headquarters has been around for a long time. It's been a legendary place. I mean, look, Formal loves it. Dashy loves it there. A lot of the players love it there, but still, we know that now they are not based out of there, really. The team plays out of the headquarters in the heart of downtown Dallas, and Scump gets, you know, an Uber there, or whatever it was, right? You guys heard the story a couple of weeks ago where Scump was saying that they pay for his travel, basically, to get there, because it's a bit of a drive for him. So Scump being as frugal as he ever has been, to be honest, I do wonder what this means for Dashy, just because last season we know that Dashy didn't actually play from the headquarters. He played from the headquarters, and it was just Ghosty and Hook and Shotzzy and JP Krez that would be there down at the headquarters, and then Dashy would play from here. And, you know, okay, whatever, he preferred it playing there. He thought the internet was better, this summer stuff. Now he's not going to be able to, because there's kind of no need for the headquarters anymore. It doesn't make sense to keep renting it out when they've got all that space downtown, is basically the reason behind this, and it's, well, closing very shortly, it seems. Now, there is this OpTic Legacy match tomorrow. Formal is not playing because it's only 2 weeks until the Halo World Championship. I think they're doing it in Seattle again, that he's preparing pretty hard for. And over the last few days, we have seen various images like this. These are the teams. It's coming up tomorrow. It's on Ghost. We believe it's going to be a best of 9. And we've seen plenty of tweets over the last few days from different players saying that they're going to win. And as we see here with Scump, think they forgot who they're dealing with. You won't want to miss this, ladies and gentlemen, right? So Pred yesterday said that he was going to take Scump down. Scump's now saying that there's going to be no chance. And they've been making graphics like this over the last few days, comparing some of the players. We see this one here comparing Scump and Shotzzy. Okay, they've both got a world title. Yes, Scump has many more LAN wins than Shotzzy. Scump's retired, you know, all this stuff. You know, I thought this graphic was pretty reasonable enough in some ways, and it's not a surprise they're doing this. They're trying to build the hype, and it's good. There was also this one, old guard versus new guard, comparing the numbers. And sure, the numbers of the old guard are going to be greater than the numbers of the new guards. I did think this one, and it's fair enough they're doing this, but it's like they had Scump versus Shotzzy, the SMGs, and then they decided, all right, let's do the ARs. And I'm sure they might have done here Dashy versus Formal, had it have been Formal, and maybe they could have done Dashy versus Bows. But they've gone for Dashy versus Crimsix, and people found this hilarious, and I do get it, right? Because, like, Dashy's he's been done dirty, I'm not gonna lie. Crimbot versus the Batman here on the right-hand side, and, you know, I just think it's funny they've got the face-off thing happening, and then Crim's numbers just obliterate Dashy's. Like, the fact that someone actually put this together with a straight face is pretty criminal behavior, to be honest, right? So 3 world titles to 0, lands 137 to 2. You know, it ain't looking so good. And sure, these numbers aren't legitimate. They're true. It is what it is. But it's just kind of funny, to be honest, that OpTic just kind of roasted their own player, because Crim isn't even technically a part of OpTic anymore, right? And he is kind of like an honorary OpTic member in some respect. And I feel like at some point in the future he might return. But, you know, still, the fact that they've got Crim versus Dashy here, their current AR, and they're just cloud on him like this, it just, I don't know, people found it pretty funny. And I imagine this one checked Dashy's dope big time on this one. So yeah, we'll see how they do. Obviously, you know, people are always going to say, oh, Dashy, like, with all the talent he's got, he should have won more, but everyone knows at this point that Dashy's only got 2 LAN wins, and he probably should have more, given the talent that he's had and the teammates that he's been with. But, you know, whatever, it's a story that continues every single season, and this season, I mean, really, OpTic have to get some results, don't they? But anyway, I thought this is just pretty funny. People found it entertaining, and the match starts tomorrow. As I say, it would have been interesting to see, like, Formal and Dashy compared, just because Dashy was almost like Formal's protege in some respects, right? When he came in, and even Formal was saying on the Dynasty podcast that he was kind of fuming how when he left OpTic and the Dynasty collapsed, Dashy comes in, and then immediately the first event that he plays, or that OpTic play with Dashy, when Formal went to LG at the start of Black Ops 4, Dashy was just frying, right? And, you know, Formal's like, damn, no way, they just brought this guy in and he's doing well. But of course, as time has progressed, things have been a little bit different there. And just to mention this, I thought was interesting, really, because Dashy's on here as well. If you got Dashy plus Cellium snaking or some other options. And this is a pretty interesting analysis here, really, to be fair. So if you take Scump plus Shotzzy's movement, how does that go? To be honest, it'd be interesting, because Scump, like, wouldn't be the same player if he had Shotzzy's movement. He wouldn't be Scump anymore, if you know what I'm saying. Octane was kind of known for being phenomenal at respawn, never unreal at search. That'd be interesting. To me, the one that I like, HyDra with Formal's comms would be, I mean, he'd be an almost untouchable player, I feel like. But very much enjoyed to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.